The first time my grandson called me crying at 1:13 in the morning, I thought somebody had died. Because 16-year-old boys don't whisper into phones like that unless they're terrified. I almost missed the call. Half asleep, staring at his name glowing on my nightstand. Ethan. Then I answered, and the second I heard his voice, every instinct I developed during 34 years as a homicide detective came rushing back into my chest. "Grandpa," he whispered, "can you come get me?" In the background, I heard a door slam hard enough to rattle something glass. Then footsteps, heavy ones, and Ethan lowered his voice even more. "Mom's boyfriend says I stole from him." Outside my bedroom window, rain hammered the streetlights in silver streaks. I looked at the clock, 1:14 a.m., and deep in my gut, I already knew this wasn't about money. My name is Walter Brennan. I'm 68 years old, retired, widowed, and until that night I believed my family had already survived the hardest thing life could throw at us. I was wrong. The drive to their house took 12 minutes. I know because I watched every second crawl across the dashboard clock. Rain slammed against the windshield so hard the wipers could barely keep up. And the entire drive, I kept hearing Ethan's voice in my head. Quiet, shaking, careful. Not the voice of a kid who got caught doing something wrong. The voice of a kid trying not to make things worse. That difference matters. People who've never dealt with abuse think fear is loud. Most of the time, it's quiet. By the time I pulled onto Willow Creek Drive, Ethan was sitting on the curb outside the house, wearing a soaked gray hoodie and no shoes. No teenager sits barefoot in freezing rain at 1 in the morning, unless they're more afraid of the house behind them than the storm around them. I parked hard against the curb and stepped out. The porch light snapped on immediately. Then Derek came outside. Tall guy, early 40s, perfect haircut, gym body. The kind of man who always stood like he expected rooms to belong to him. He folded his arms and leaned against the doorway. "There he is," he said, "the hero." I ignored him completely and walked straight toward Ethan. The second I touched my grandson's shoulder, he flinched, just slightly. But I noticed. After 34 years investigating violent homes, you notice things like that automatically. Kids only flinch from adults when flinching has become survival. I opened the truck door. "Get in." Ethan climbed inside without saying a word. Derek stepped off the porch. "He stole cash from my office," he called out. $500. I looked at him for the first time. "You call the police?" "No." "Then this conversation can wait until morning." Derek smiled slightly, not angry, satisfied. That bothered me immediately, because innocent people usually want problems solved. Controlling people want power maintained. Big difference. Melissa appeared in the doorway behind him. My daughter looked exhausted, hair messy, mascara smeared, and the thing that hit me hardest, she wouldn't look me in the eyes. "Maybe Ethan should stay with you tonight," she said quietly. Not please, not I'm worried, just tired surrender. That was the moment something cold settled into my chest, because I'd seen that look before too. Women don't stop making eye contact for no reason. I nodded once. Then I got back into the truck and drove away. For the first few minutes, Ethan said nothing. Rain rolled across the windshield while the heater slowly filled the cab with warm air. His hands were shaking. I reached over and turned the heat higher. "You hungry?" I asked. Small shrug. That usually means yes. I pulled into a 24-hour diner off Route 8. The waitress gave us tired smiles and handed over menus, but Ethan barely looked at his. His hoodie sleeves were pulled over his hands. Protective behavior. Another thing I noticed immediately, I ordered him pancakes and hot chocolate anyway. Teenage boys eat when they feel safe enough to eat. Sometimes it just takes time. For almost 10 minutes, neither of us talked. The diner smelled like coffee and fried onions. Country music played softly through old ceiling speakers. Outside, rainwater crawled down the windows in crooked lines. Then Ethan finally spoke. He checks my room when I'm at school. I slowly set my coffee down. What do you mean checks? He stared out the window. My drawers, my backpack, my phone, pause. Sometimes even the trash. That cold feeling in my chest spread deeper. Your mom knows? Another long silence. She says he's just trying to protect the house. I leaned back slowly. There it was. The language. That's how control always begins. Not with screaming. Not with violence. With justification. With little violations people explain away until they stop noticing them completely. The waitress returned with food. Ethan stared at the pancakes for several seconds before finally taking a bite. Then another. Then another. Like his body had suddenly remembered it was hungry. You didn't steal anything, did you? I asked quietly. He looked at me instantly. Hurt flashed across his face so fast it nearly broke my heart. No. I nodded once. I know. And for the first time that night, his eyes watered, because sometimes the most emotional thing you can give somebody isn't protection, it's belief, especially when nobody else is giving it to them. Ethan stared down at his plate. Then he whispered something so quietly I almost didn't hear it. It gets worse when Mom's not around. Every instinct inside me locked into place. Because after 34 years working homicide, I knew exactly what kind of sentence that was. And I knew this night was only the beginning. I didn't sleep that night. Ethan fell asleep on my couch around 4 a.m. with the television still glowing softly across the living room. But I stayed awake, sitting in the dark with an untouched cup of coffee growing cold beside me, thinking. When you spend 3 decades investigating violent homes, certain patterns never leave you. You learn that abuse rarely starts with fists. It starts with control. Small things first. Privacy disappearing, fear becoming routine, a child learning how to monitor someone else's mood before speaking. And the thing bothering me most wasn't Derek's accusation. It was Ethan flinching when I touched his shoulder. That reaction was trained into him, which meant this had been happening for a while. Around 7 a.m, Ethan finally woke up. He looked embarrassed immediately. Teenagers always do when they fall asleep somewhere safe after being scared. Sorry, he mumbled. You hungry? Small nod. I made eggs and toast while he sat quietly at the kitchen counter. The house felt strangely peaceful compared to the tension hanging over the night before. For a few minutes, neither of us talked. Then I noticed something dark near the edge of his wrist as he reached for a glass of orange juice. Bruising, not fresh, yellowing around the edges. Old enough to tell a story. I kept my voice calm. What happened to your wrist? He froze, just for a second. Then he pulled his sleeve down immediately. Nothing. That answer came too fast. I turned off the stove slowly. Ethan. Silence. Then finally, Derek grabbed me a few days ago. The words landed heavy. How hard? He shrugged without looking at me. Hard enough. I walked back to the stove before answering because I needed the extra few seconds to control my temper. In homicide work, anger makes you stupid, and stupid gets people hurt. When? After school? For what? Another pause. He thought I lost his watch. I stared out the kitchen window while rainwater slid across the glass. Did he apologize after he found it? Ethan actually laughed a little at that, but there wasn't any humor in it. No, that told me everything. Because decent people feel guilt after crossing lines. Controlling people feel justified. Big difference. Later that afternoon, Melissa finally called. Her voice sounded exhausted. "Is Ethan okay?" "He's safe." Long silence. Then quietly, "Derek says the money's still missing." I closed my eyes. There it was again. Not concern for her son, concern for Derek. "Melissa," I said carefully, "how long has this been going on?" Another silence. The dangerous kind. The kind where somebody wants to tell the truth but is terrified of what happens after they say it out loud. Finally, she whispered, "You don't understand how stressful things have been lately." That sentence hit me like a warning siren, because I'd heard versions of it from victims for 30 years. People always explain abuse before they admit it exists. I kept my voice calm. "Does he yell at Ethan often?" "He just has a temper." "Has he ever put his hands on him?" "No. Too fast. Way too fast." Then she corrected herself. "Not seriously." Something cold moved through my chest, because there is no such thing as not seriously, not when you're talking about a kid. I looked across the room at Ethan, pretending not to listen from the couch, but I could see it in his face. He already knew exactly how this conversation would go. That hurt almost more than the bruises. "Melissa," I said quietly, "listen to me carefully. I need you to stop minimizing this." "He's trying," she snapped suddenly. The emotion surprised both of us. "He pays the bills, Walter. He helps with the house. He's under pressure all the time." I leaned back slowly. There it was, the justification, the excuses, the same cycle I'd seen destroy families over and over again. Abuse survives when people become more loyal to peace than truth. "I'm bringing Ethan home tonight," she said quickly. Ethan looked up immediately. Fear flashed across his face. Real fear, and the second I saw it, the decision was already made. "No," I said firmly. Silence. Then Melissa lowered her voice. "You're making this worse." "No," I replied. "I think I'm finally seeing it clearly." She hung up without another word. That evening, I drove Ethan back to the house so he could grab clothes for school. The second we pulled into the driveway, I felt tension crawl through the truck. Ethan's breathing changed. Shallow. Careful. Like his body was preparing itself automatically. That's the thing about fear. Eventually, the body remembers it before the mind does. Derek opened the front door before we even knocked, smiling. Again. That same calm smile that never reached his eyes. "You done hiding?" he asked Ethan. I stepped between him instantly. "Watch your tone." Derek looked at me calmly. "This is still my house." "No," I said quietly. "It's Melissa's house." For the first time, his smile slipped slightly. Tiny reaction, but important. Predators hate resistance, especially public resistance. Melissa appeared behind him, looking nervous, still avoiding eye contact, still exhausted. That scared me too, because people living inside manipulation eventually stop trusting their own instincts. "Just grab your things," she told Ethan softly. We went upstairs, and the second Ethan opened his bedroom door, I stopped cold. The room had been searched. Drawers open. Closet disturbed. Backpack dumped onto the bed. Ethan stared silently. Humiliation flooded his face. "He does this all the time," he whispered. I walked slowly through the room. Then I noticed the missing doorknob lock, fresh marks around the screws. My stomach tightened. Why was this removed? Ethan looked down at the carpet. He said privacy has to be earned. For a moment, I couldn't speak, because suddenly the entire picture was becoming clear. And deep down, I already knew this situation was far worse than anyone wanted to admit. I stood there staring at the missing bedroom lock while rain tapped softly against the windows. Privacy has to be earned. That's what Derek told him. Not safety, not trust, control. That sentence told me more about that man than anything else had. I turned toward Ethan carefully. How long? He already knew what I meant. A few months. Months. I felt something dark settle into my chest, because by the time abuse becomes obvious, it's usually been happening for a very long time. Downstairs, I could hear Derek moving around the kitchen loudly, cabinets opening harder than necessary, plates hitting counters, aggressive noise, another intimidation tactic. Make people feel tension without technically doing anything wrong. I'd seen men like him my entire career, men who understood exactly how close they could get to the line without crossing it publicly. But behind closed doors, those lines disappeared. Ethan quietly packed clothes into a duffel bag while I watched the room carefully. Then I noticed something sitting half hidden beneath the desk. A broken phone. Screen shattered. I picked it up slowly. What happened to this? Ethan froze. Then quietly Derek threw it. When? Last month. For what? Long silence. Then Ethan swallowed hard. He thought I was talking about him to my friends. I closed my eyes for a second. Not because I was shocked, because now I understood the pattern completely. Isolation, monitoring, fear, control, step by step. That's how people get trapped without realizing how bad things have become. We headed downstairs a few minutes later. Melissa stood near the sink, twisting her hands together nervously. Derek leaned against the counter, drinking coffee like none of this mattered. That calmness irritated me more than yelling would have, because cruel people often stay calm once they believe they control the room. Derek looked at Ethan's bag and smirked. What, moving out now? I stepped forward before Ethan could answer. He'll stay with me for a while. Derek shrugged. Probably for the best. Then he smiled again, but eventually he needs to learn actions have consequences. I stared directly at him. And what consequences should adults face? The kitchen went silent. Melissa immediately looked nervous. Derek's jaw tightened slightly. Tiny reaction, but enough. You implying something? He asked. I'm observing something. For a second, nobody moved. Then Melissa spoke quickly. Please stop. Not angry. Scared. That was the moment I realized something important. Melissa wasn't defending Derek because she believed him anymore. She was defending stability. People can get addicted to avoiding conflict. Even when conflict is necessary, especially when they're emotionally exhausted. I looked at her carefully. Melissa, when's the last time you felt relaxed in this house? She opened her mouth, then stopped, because she didn't have an answer. And honestly, that silence said more than words could. Derek suddenly pushed himself away from the counter. This is ridiculous, he snapped. You're turning her against me. Interesting choice of words. Not you're wrong, not nothing happened. You're turning her against me. That's when I knew he felt control slipping. And controlling people panic when control disappears. He stepped closer toward me. You have no idea what it's like living with him, he said, pointing at Ethan. Sneaking around. Lying. Attitude every day. Ethan lowered his eyes immediately. Automatic shame response. I'd seen it in victims hundreds of times. Eventually, they start believing they deserve the treatment. That's the dangerous part about emotional control. It rewrites reality slowly. I looked Derek directly in the eyes. He's 16. Derek laughed coldly. You think he's innocent? No, I said calmly. I think he's scared. The room went dead quiet, because everybody there knew it was true, especially Melissa. I could see it on her face. That awful moment when denial finally starts cracking apart. Derek saw it too. And suddenly his confidence changed. Not gone, but shaken. "Melissa," he said sharply, "tell him." But she didn't answer. She just stood there, staring at the floor. And for the first time all night, Derek looked uncertain. That mattered, because manipulative people survive through unified silence. The second someone stops participating in the silence, the entire structure weakens. I picked up Ethan's bag. "Come on." This time Derek didn't stop us, didn't threaten, didn't yell. He just watched. And honestly, that scared me more, because quiet anger is usually the most dangerous kind. The drive home felt different, lighter somehow. Ethan leaned against the passenger window, watching rain slide across the glass. Then, after several minutes, he spoke quietly. "She used to laugh more." I glanced at him. "Your mom?" Small nod. The sentence nearly broke my heart, because kids notice everything, even the slow disappearance of happiness, especially that. "When did things change?" I asked softly. Ethan thought about it for a long moment. Little by little, that answer stayed with me, because that's exactly how control works. Not all at once, little by little, until fear starts feeling normal. When we reached my house, Ethan stopped before getting out of the truck. "Grandpa?" "Yeah?" His voice cracked slightly. "Thank you for believing me." I looked at him sitting there under the soft dashboard light, still just a kid, still trying so hard not to fall apart. And I realized something terrifying. I spent 34 years investigating what happens behind closed doors when decent people ignore their instincts. And sitting beside my grandson that night, I understood something deeper than I ever had before. By the time abuse becomes obvious, it's usually already been happening for a very long time. But sometimes, one person deciding to finally see the truth can change everything.